In the scriptural justice system, the highest of the high, the Most High, Yah, is the judge and jury, and the seed of Israel are his children. These are their stories. What did people in that belt look like? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their families lived in a belt of land that runs, open quote, from the Nile Valley, Egypt, across the land bridge into the area between Egypt and Mesopotamia. The map is history. We don't have photos, but we do have, close quote, Egyptian wall paintings and reliefs showing Egyptians themselves as reddish-brown to dark brown, tightly curled dark hair. Their neighbours to the northeast, people from the same strip of land where Canaan and later Israel sat, in very similar tones, brown skin, dark hair, full beards. TheTorah.com, ancient writers and later rabbinic traditions that associate Ham's line with dark-skinned Egyptians and related peoples. Macmillan Center. So visually, the people in that belt were in the black-brown African spectrum, not pale European. Modern DNA on skeletons from that area in the Bronze Iron Ages shows continuity with the darker populations still living in that strip today, not with Northern Europeans. PMC, that's the background your patriarchs are standing in. Abraham himself, his wives, and his Egyptian handmaid. 2.1 Abraham's origin. Historically, Abraham is tied to Ur, a major city in southern Mesopotamia near the Gulf, and Haran, north toward the top of that same land arc. Wikipedia, these were hot climate city and pastoral cultures on the same trade routes that constantly linked Egypt, that land bridge next to Egypt and Mesopotamia. Mariottini.com. The people in those regions are shown in ancient art with brown to dark brown skin, black hair, full beards, features that line up much closer to black African-appearing and Nile Valley neighbours than to later Northern Europeans. TheTorah.com. So Abraham and his kin are coming out of a black-brown belt connected tightly to Africa, not a white European zone. 2.2 Sarah, Sarai. Sarah is Abraham's half-sister and wife, same father, different mother. That means she's from the same bloodline and region as Abraham, Ur-Haran migration family. So visually, Sarah equals same black African-appearing population belt as Abraham, with all the mixing that already existed between that strip and Egypt. 2.3 Hagar, the Egyptian handmaid. The text is explicit. Hagar is Egyptian. Egypt in ancient sources is tied to Ham's line and dark-skinned Egyptians in old rabbinic commentary. Macmillan Center depicts itself in art as dark, reddish-brown to brown people with tightly curled dark hair, clearly African in appearance, especially compared to later Greeks, Romans. Peabody Museum. So Hagar is from the African Nile Valley, a clearly black African-appearing woman. Ishmael and his line are therefore Abraham, from that black-brown belt plus Egyptian, African. 2.4 Keturah. Later, Abraham marries Keturah, Genesis 25. The text doesn't spell her origin out, but she's taken after long residence in that same belt near Egypt. Many traditions place her people southeastward, still inside the broader black African connected zone. Bottom line for Abraham, open quote, every woman who bears his children is anchored in the black-brown African connected population belt. Sarah, same family. Hagar, Egyptian. Keturah, same region, close quote. Isaac, born of Sarah, married into the same dark belt. 3.1 Isaac's parents. Isaac is son of Abraham plus Sarah, both from the same dark-skinned hot climate belt, now living in Canaan, the land next to Egypt. He grows up in a land where Egyptians and local peoples are visually similar enough that Hebrews can pass as Egyptians. We'll come back to that with Joseph and Moses. 3.2 Rebekah, wife from Abraham's kin. Abraham insists Isaac not marry the local idol-worshipping women and sends for a wife from his own kin in the north, Haran region. The map as history. So Rebekah comes from the same extended family and same regional stock as Abraham and Sarah. That means the same black African-appearing belt, just from the northern portion. Isaac plus Rebekah is still one consistent look, brown to dark brown skin, dark hair, not a European phenotype. 4. Jacob, Israel, 4 women, all from that same belt plus later Canaan, Egypt mixing. 4.1 Jacob's parents. Jacob is son of Isaac's Rebekah, so already solidly from a dark-skinned family living between Egypt and Mesopotamia. 4. Leah and Rachel. Laban's daughters. Jacob goes back to his mother's people and marries Leah and Rachel, daughters of Laban, who is Rebekah's brother. So again, these wives are from the same family line as Abraham and Rebekah in the same northern sector of that climate belt, the Torah.com. So Leah and Rachel are still black African appearing from that same regional gene pool, not some totally different lighter race. NAF 4.3. Bilhah and Zilpah, the handmaids. Bilhah and Zilpah are handmaids given to Leah and Rachel, but they belong to that same household in the same region. The text doesn't give a separate foreign origin for them like it does for Hagar. So historically, the safest read is they are women of the same people and region as Laban's household, again the same dark-skinned belt between Mesopotamia and the land next to Egypt. Hagar 4.4, wives of the sons, Canaan and Egypt. Now Jacob's sons start taking wives. Judah takes a Canaanite wife and later has children with Tamar, also from that land. Joseph marries Asenath, daughter of an Egyptian priest. These women are either from Canaan, the land directly next to Egypt, whose people the Egyptians depict as brown-skinned neighbours, or from Egypt itself, which we already know is firmly black African appearing. The Bass Library. 5. The receipts from Scripture itself. Israel looked like Egyptians. This is where it hits hard. 1. Joseph. His brothers stand in front of him in Egypt and do not recognize him at all, even though they grew up with him. Genesis 42. Egyptians accept him as one of their own officials. For that to work, Joseph's appearance must line up with Egyptian norms, skin, hair, everything. 2. Moses. When Moses flees to Midian, the women there tell their father, open quote, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds. Exodus 2:19, close quote. They looked at Moses and assumed Egyptian on sight. If the children of Israel looked like pale Europeans and Egyptians were dark Africans, that confusion couldn't happen. The only way this makes sense is, open quote, Israelites and Egyptians were visually close enough that strangers confused them, meaning they sat inside the same black African-appearing spectrum, close quote. That goes straight against the soft olive European art people try to push. So what does that tell us about the 12 tribes? Now put all of that together. Abraham, black-brown from the belt between Mesopotamia and the land next to Egypt. Sarah, same bloodline and region. Hagar, explicitly Egyptian, African. Keturah from the same broader region. Isaac and Rebekah, both from that same dark belt. Jacob, same as Isaac, Rebekah. Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, Zilpah, all from Jacob's uncle's house in that same region. Later daughters-in-law. Canaanite and Egyptian, again same black African appearing zone. All 12 sons of Jacob come from 4 women who are all from that same dark belt, directly tied into African Egypt and its neighbours. That means, open quote, the baseline look of the children of Israel as a nation is black African appearing in the same family of looks as Egyptians and their neighbours, not like later Europeans, close quote. Yes, over centuries there is some mixing with other surrounding peoples, but if you start at Abraham and trace every wife and handmaid, you do not suddenly get Mexicans, Native Americans or Asians out of that bloodline. You get a black African-appearing family, repeatedly warned not to mix with idolatrous nations, precisely so that both covenant and identity wouldn't be swallowed up. Number 7. Why this clashes with the modern 12 tribes chart. That street camp 12 tribes chart that says, this tribe equals African Americans, this tribe equals Puerto Ricans, this tribe equals Mexicans, this tribe Native Americans, does not come from archaeology, ancient texts, linguistic trails, or serious historical work. Even writers who are critical of Hebraic identity movements admit plainly, the One West School in Harlem, late 1960s, invented that specific chart. Historians, linguists, and archaeologists say there is no credible evidence tying specific tribes of Jacob to modern Mexicans, Native Americans, etc. Coconut. Even some Hebraic writers who do believe the children of Israel are black reject that chart as bogus and historically unsound. Israelite bot. So, textually, the patriarch family tree is closed. All the mothers of the 12 tribes are from the same dark belt tied to Africa. Historically, art-wise, the populations in that belt were brown to dark brown, black African appearing, visually close to Egyptians. Modern scholarship, even when it doesn't use the language you use, still shows no path from Jacob's sons to Native American and Mexican nations. Those connections are modern theological inventions, not ancient bloodline facts.
I'm just flying high. live by peace while you incite wars. I just mind my business, I just mind my business. While you just in your feelings, you just in your feelings.